Hey, General Hospital fans, we have got your daily spoilers for the week of June 8th through the 12th, and let me tell you, things are about to get absolutely wild in Port Charles. We've got Carly Spencer pushed right to her breaking point, and honestly, when Carly hits that point, nobody in that town is safe. We've got secrets unraveling faster than anyone can contain them, and someone is about to make a confession that is going to shake things up in a major way. Plus, the Sidwell situation is reaching a boiling point and Laura Collins is not playing around anymore. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. And before we get into all of this drama and tension for the week of June 8th, please click subscribe because you do not want to miss a single episode of this. Now let's jump right in and break it all down day by day. On Monday, June 8th, it is season 63, episode 186 of GH, and we're starting the week off with some serious emotional weight. Carly is on edge, and I mean really on edge, because the Jocelyn situation is not resolving itself, and every hour that ticks by is another hour that Carly is inching closer to doing something drastic. Now, we know Carly. We have watched this woman flip tables, burn businesses down metaphorically, and go up against some of the most powerful people in Port Charles without blinking. So when Carly Spencer is described as being on the verge of lashing out, you know it is not going to be a mild conversation. It is going to be a full-on explosion, and whoever is standing in her way when that happens should genuinely be concerned for their well-being. Meanwhile, we are also going to check in with Trina and Kai on Monday, and Kai is worried about Trina, which honestly is very on-brand for him. Between the stress of the art showcase, still holding down her regular responsibilities, and now her parents being pulled into legal drama over Curtis and the assault charges, Trina is juggling a lot. And Kai is right to be concerned because Trina tends to internalize everything until she absolutely cannot anymore, and then it all comes out at once. She asks Kai why he is so focused on getting her to delegate, and that is actually a really sweet dynamic because Kai is paying attention in a way that not everyone in her life has been lately. He sees her stretching herself too thin, and he is trying to pump the brakes before she burns out completely. Now, over on the hostage situation front, things are getting significantly more complicated because Liesl is now in the picture in the worst possible way. She ends up unconscious and is thrown in with Jocelyn, and Jocelyn's reaction is exactly what you would expect. She yells, "What did you do to her?" And she is obviously directing that at Colm, who has been playing this long, dangerous game and is now escalating in a way that puts multiple lives at risk. Colm crept into Liesl's car, chloroformed her, and kidnapped her, which is an absolutely bold and ruthless move that tells you everything you need to know about where his head is at right now. He is not messing around, and he is willing to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Now, what does he want? Well, we have been piecing this together for a while, and the most logical read here is that Colm needs Liesl to finish Faison's final project. Britt took off, so the plan got derailed, and now Colm is going back to the source. Liesl is one of the few people with the scientific knowledge to actually complete whatever Faison started, and Colm is not above using threats, coercion, or outright kidnapping to get her to cooperate. The question is whether Liesl will actually play along. Knowing Liesl, she's going to push back hard, and knowing Colm, he is going to come right back at her with something that makes her think twice. My money is on him threatening Nathan, because he knows that is her weak spot, and Liesl doesn't know that the Nathan she thinks she knows is actually Cash's. So that is going to be a very complicated, very emotional conversation when it happens. And then there is the whole Cash's situation, which is getting more layered by the episode. He has been making his way down there to talk to Jocelyn, and now his biomom Liesl is in the same space, and he cannot let her see him without blowing the entire cover. Because the moment Liesl lays eyes on him and recognizes him as Nathan, she is going to expect Nathan to step up and help her, and that puts Cash's in an impossible position. We also know that Jocelyn has been playing the long game by calling Cash's Nathan in front of Sidwell, so that Sidwell does not realize she has figured out who he really is. So now the question becomes, does Jocelyn fill Liesl in on what is really happening, or does she keep the act going even with Liesl in the room? That is a genuinely tricky call because on one hand, Liesl deserves to know the truth. But on the other hand, if Liesl reacts the way Liesl tends to react, which is loudly and with zero filter, the whole thing could unravel in a matter of seconds. Also on Monday, Curtis wants Alexis to help him. So Curtis is reaching out to Alexis to defend him on the assault charges stemming from his attack on Isaiah. And I expect Alexis to be very measured about this, but also very honest, because Alexis Davis does not sugarcoat things for her clients. If Curtis comes in there thinking he is going to use the accusation that Isaiah caused Jordan's accident as part of his defense strategy, Alexis is going to shut that down fast. There is no proof that Isaiah's car was even involved in running Jordan off the road, and even if it was, there is zero evidence that Isaiah knew that Jordan had crashed. So, walking into a courtroom with that as your primary argument is a disaster waiting to happen, and Alexis is smart enough to know that. And then Laura is savoring a moment of victory, which is honestly well-deserved because she has been grinding through this Sidwell nightmare for a long time. She tells Sonny that they have endured this together, and now they need to see it through together. And that is a powerful statement from Laura because it reflects how seriously she is taking this. She is not interested in half measures. She wants Sidwell gone in a permanent, legal, legitimate way because that is who Laura Collins is. She does not want blood on her hands. She wants justice, and she wants it done right. So we will see if Lucas can dig up something useful from whatever is in that safe, because that could be the piece that finally gives them real leverage. Christina is also making some kind of request on Monday, and since we see her up at General Hospital talking to Lucas, the most logical read is that this has something to do with medical school. Kate Monsi's final air date is reportedly coming up soon, so the writing is on the wall there. Christina heading off to pursue medicine would be a graceful send-off for the character, and the fact that she says a lot of people are going to be surprised suggests it is not something the family was expecting. That should make for some interesting family dynamics before she goes. Tuesday, June 9th on General Hospital is season 63, episode 187, and things are already tense before the baby shower even starts. Portia's baby shower is where a lot of this friction is going to come to a head because you have Curtis coming in with his unproven accusations about Isaiah swirling around him, and everyone in that room is going to feel the tension. Kai is going to be there, and we know Kai is firmly in Isaiah's corner because of little Derek and how much Isaiah has meant to that family. And you can bet Aunt Stella is going to be working overtime trying to smooth things over because she always puts herself in the middle of Curtis's messes trying to keep the peace. Bless her heart, because it is a full-time job. Brooklyn is going to apologize to someone on Tuesday, and my first instinct is that this is Chase-related. Tracy has been making accusations and stirring up trouble, and if Tracy went after Chase with whatever she is cooking up, Brooklyn is going to feel responsible for that. She cares about Chase, and she knows that getting tangled up in Tracy's drama is never good for anyone. Whether the apology lands or whether Chase is already past the point of caring remains to be seen. Somebody is also going to blindside Willow on Tuesday, and there are a couple of directions this could go. It could be Brooklyn coming at her with something unexpected, or it could be Nina. Now, the Nina angle is interesting because of the Brennan situation and how messy that has become. Caitlin McMullen, who plays Willow, gave an interview recently where she said that Willow is not romantically interested in Chase, that she just trusts him and wants to work with him professionally. But as any longtime soap fan knows, that kind of statement is either completely true or it is a very deliberate misdirect because things can shift on a dime on the show. One emotionally charged scene, and suddenly trust becomes something a whole lot more complicated. Sidwell is going to be enraged on Tuesday, and honestly, an enraged Sidwell is a scary Sidwell. If Laura or Sonny have tipped him off that his leverage over them is gone, he's going to look for a way to retaliate, and that means everyone in his orbit needs to be careful. I wonder if they're going to try and redirect blame toward Pascal for handing over whatever information he handed over before skipping town, because that would be a way to protect themselves while still giving Sidwell someone to direct his fury at. Not Nathan confesses something major on Tuesday. And this one is really interesting because the confession could go in a couple of different directions. He could be talking to Jocelyn, and there's certainly enough built up between them that a major confession makes sense. But I also think the more emotionally resonant version of this is him talking to Liesl, because she did not raise him and she did not raise Cassius, and yet here they both are tangled up in this nightmare that traces back directly to Faison. That is a lot of complicated history to navigate, and a confession in that context lands so much differently than one made to Jocelyn. How deep do Cassius' feelings for Liesl actually run given everything? That is an open question, and Tuesday might start to give us an answer. Wednesday, June 10th, is season 63, episode 188 of General Hospital, and Willow is being offered something tempting, which tells you that whatever is coming her way is going to make her life significantly more complicated whether she takes it or not. Now, if this offer is connected to the Drew situation, then we're talking about something that is either going to protect her or push her further into territory she cannot walk back from. And if Michael is involved in this offer, that is a whole other layer of danger, because Michael in revenge mode does not pull punches. He has been building towards something against Willow, and this could very well be the moment he makes his move. Trina is making a bold choice on Wednesday, and I love that because Trina making a bold choice usually means something significant is shifting for her character. Whether it is a professional decision tied to the showcase, or something more personal related to Kai or her family situation with Curtis, Trina is not the kind of person who does things halfway. When she makes a move, she commits to it. Somebody gives Dante bad news on Wednesday. And the Liesl angle is very compelling here because Dante would immediately connect her disappearance to Colm given everything he knows about Britt being on the run with Rocco. That is Dante's son out there with Britt, and any news that suggests Colm is escalating is going to hit Dante in a very personal way. He is not just a cop working this case. He has skin in the game, and bad news about Liesl would ratchet up the urgency significantly. Carly springs into action on Wednesday. We knew this was coming. And the plan forming between Carly and Valentine around potentially bringing in Jack's guy to help deal with the Colm situation is exactly the kind of bold, risky move that Carly gravitates toward. Valentine is cautious because he does not want anything that could get him dragged back to Steinmau, and that is a very valid concern. But Carly is operating with a mother's desperation right now, and when Carly is in that headspace, caution is not really a word that registers. She will take whatever option gets Jocelyn home faster. Consequences be sorted out later. Portia and Curtis are also clashing on Wednesday, and this is over Isaiah, and it is going to be a pointed conversation because Portia is done making excuses for Curtis's behavior. She has not seen a single moment of genuine remorse from him about what happened with Isaiah, and that is because Curtis genuinely does not feel bad about it. He still believes he was justified, and that is a fundamental disconnect that Portia cannot get past. She is having a baby. She is trying to build something positive. And Curtis is spiraling in the wrong direction at the worst possible time. Thursday, June 11th is General Hospital Season 63, Episode 189, and Charlotte and Danny are cooking up a plan together. Now, these two coming up with a plan together is either going to be adorable or extremely concerning depending on what the plan actually is. The Windermere angle is very much on the table because Charlotte has been drawn to that place, and Danny is not exactly known for playing it safe. If they are thinking about going back there, Valentine would absolutely lose his mind because he's been trying to keep Charlotte out of harm's way this entire time, and Windermere is right in the middle of whatever column is going on. Alternatively, maybe they're trying to reach Rocco because Charlotte has a way of communicating with him without it being tracked, and if Rocco could get word back to Dante about where he and Britt are, that would be a game changer. Cody is impressing Molly on Thursday, which is something I am here for because Cody has been slowly but steadily showing a different side of himself over the last several months. He's not just the charming, slightly reckless cowboy anymore. There is genuine depth there, and it makes sense that someone as sharp as Molly would start to notice. Whether this leads anywhere romantically or stays in the realm of professional respect and friendship, it is a good sign for Cody's trajectory on the show. Nah checks in with Not Nathan on Thursday, and this is going to be a delicate conversation because if Nah is going to mention that Liesl is missing, Cassius is going to have to perform Nathan's level of distress without revealing that he already knows exactly where Liesl is and what she has been pulled into. That is a lot of layers to hold at once. And by this point in the story, Cassius presumably knows that Liesl is being put to work in the Windermere lab, so he is going to have to fake his way through the entire interaction and hope Nah does not pick up on anything that seems off. Ava's conscience is eating at her on Thursday, and this has been building for a while. Ava knowing something and sitting on it is never a situation that ends well for anyone, including Ava. She has a gift for rationalizing things until she can't anymore, and when the dam breaks, the fallout tends to be significant. Whatever she is holding on to, it is starting to wear on her, and that usually means it is going to come out whether she intends it to or not.